This is the sermon for February 20th, 2022, and I'm going to read from Psalm 1. Happy are you who do not follow the advice of the blind as bats, the know-it-alls, or the good-for-nothings. Instead, you delight in the truth, meditating on it day and night. You are like trees planted by streams of water with abundant fruit and green leaves. God charts the road you take. Their road leads to nowhere. And then from Luke 16:17 through 26, this is Jesus. Jesus spoke to the disciples in a huge crowd from all over. They had come to hear him and to be cured of their diseases. Those disturbed by evil spirits were healed. Everyone was trying to touch him. Then Jesus spoke blessings. You're blessed when you've lost it all. God's kingdom is there for the finding. You're blessed when you're ravenously hungry. Then you're ready for the great banquet. You're blessed when the tears flow freely. Joy comes with the morning. Count yourself blessed every time someone cuts you down or throws you out on account of me. What it means is that the truth is too close for comfort and that person is uncomfortable. You can be glad when that happens, for even though they don't like it, I do. Know that you are in good company. Truth preachers and witnesses have always been treated like this. Then Jesus spoke woes. But it's trouble ahead if you think you have it made. What you have is all you'll ever get. It's trouble ahead if you're satisfied with yourself. Yourself will not satisfy you for long. It's trouble ahead if you think life's all fun and games. There's suffering to be met, and you're going to meet it. There's trouble ahead when you live only for the approval of others, saying what flatters them, doing what indulges them. Popularity contests are not truth contests. Look how many scoundrel preachers were approved by your ancestors. Your task is to be true, not popular. Well, I feel like I'm hearing scriptures again for the first time with the message from Eugene Peterson. He's paraphrased the scriptures with modern language, and he has fun with it, you can tell. I think there's a greater truth because Jesus certainly had a sense of humor. We know that from the parables, and we know that from lots of things that Jesus said. And I've loved Psalm 1 since I was a teenager, but there's language that's traditional in the Psalm 1 translation that I never knew what to do with. And for instance, the traditional language says, happy are those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, but their delight is in the law of the Lord. I don't know what to do with that. Do you personally know the wicked? Because I don't. I know people who are wounded and have not resolved the wounding, and they wound others until they resolve it. And so I don't know the wicked, but I do know myself and others who are wounded and can sometimes act in ways that aren't good. Psalm 1, I love it. This fun language. Yeah. Look at the Psalm 1 in modern language. When I see myself in this passage as well. Happy are you who do not follow the advice of the blind as bats, the know-it-alls, or the good-for-nothings. I see myself in that list as well. And then I love how Eugene Peterson translates it. God charts the road you take. Their road leads to nowhere. That's what it is that the blind as bats, the know-it-alls, and the good-for-nothings, their road leads to nowhere, including when I take that road as well. I'd rather be on a road that the divine has charted as something that's good. So I'm having that fun in the 12 steps as well. I'm learning that when I'm in charge of my life, and truly the only one in charge of my life, that I'm blind, I'm a know-it-all, and my road leads nowhere. And I've been there, done that. I don't want to do it anymore. I say no thank you now. So I want to ask you, have you got your life in good order? Is it just the way you want it? Jesus might ask in this situation, are you becoming love? Are you being transformed into love that is self-compassion and compassion for others? That's what Jesus would ask. And so I hear that in Psalm 1, and I hear that in Luke chapter 6. Now look at the blessings. And there's so much of this passage, I can't deal with all of it, but look at the blessings. You're blessed when you've lost it all. God's kingdom, or God's kingdom, the kin, that we are kin to one another, is there for the finding. So have you ever lost it all? How is that a blessing? Homeless? Newly divorced? When have you lost it all? How could that possibly be a blessing? Well, Jesus goes right on to say, when you've lost it all, then you can find God's kingdom. Then you can find the community of kin that leads to transformation into love. Look at the second blessing. You're blessed when you're ravenously hungry. Then you're ready for the great banquet. So only those who are hungry can find the blessings that God offers. Only those who are hungry have an openness. It's like the old Zen story when the person comes to the Zen teacher and the Zen teacher says, let's have a cup of tea before we discuss the deeper realities. And the visitor is holding the cup, and the Zen teacher continues to pour the tea into the mug until it overflows. And the visitor says, hold on a minute. You're pouring, what are you doing? You're pouring it right over the top. And the Zen teacher says, when your cup is empty, you'll be able to receive. Right now, I see that it's very full, and there's no room for something new. That's in effect what Jesus is saying, although that is an older story than even Jesus. How about the third blessing in this passage? You're blessed when the tears flow freely. Joy comes with the morning. Yeah, you're blessed when you've lost it all. Crazy. The American way is success. People look up to you. You've got a bright future. That's the American way. When you've lost it all, how is that blessing? And the second one, you're blessed when you're ravenously hungry. No, But imagine being hungry, genuinely hungry, out of food in the cabinets and out of food in the fridge, and you receive a box of food from the food pantry, and you get to eat, and your stomach no longer grumbles. You can receive the blessings of God. Again, it's like that cup that's empty and ready to receive what God has to offer. You're blessed when the tears flow freely. Joy comes with the morning. That brings the prickle of tears to the back of my eyes. You're blessed when the tears flow freely, when you're in need, when you know your need, when you're willing to admit the need, or the need comes pouring out. When people are all self-secure and have everything handled, and they're successful, and people look up to them, and yeah, their future is bright. How is there room for what God might be doing? How is there room for them to be transformed into love? Yeah, we can belong to one another. I think that the kingdom in the community of kin is a lovely image. And I think that's what Jesus was getting at. He wasn't talking about a territory where there's a king and peasants. I don't think so. No, he's talking about a community of love where people care for one another. They can receive blessings. I think a lot of times in small towns, people have their family and their friends all around them from childhood onward. And strangers just don't have that. People that come in from the outside don't have that. Is that Too bad, so sad for them. They should have been born into a small town and a family that was fairly healthy. I don't think so. I think Jesus is inviting us into a community of kin that care for one another. Can we make openings for others? Or are we just content with the way things are in our lives? So, and talking about being ravenously hungry and then being ready for the great banquet, what are we hungry for that isn't food, perhaps? Are we hungry for meaning? Are we hungry for love in community? We may have all the material goods that we would ever want, but are we sad? Are we lonely? Are we struggling with things? A lot of people are struggling for healing. I just watched Brene Brown again, and she's talking about how becoming vulnerable is a task for midlife. It's a developmental task for midlife, going into old age. So what about being vulnerable? I think that's what Jesus is talking about. He's talking about you're blessed when you've lost it all. You're blessed when you're ravenously hungry. You're blessed when the tears flow freely. There's vulnerability in need. And who doesn't have need, really? And the woes give you a whole different perspective on it. The woes are really amazing. So let me go back to the woes. It's trouble ahead if you think you have it made. What you have is all you'll ever get. Are you completely satisfied with the way things are? Then what you have is what you'll always ever get. I think there's more need. I think if we're true, if we're honest with ourselves, there's more than what we have that we need. It's trouble ahead if you're satisfied with yourself. Yourself will not satisfy you for long. It might in the short term. And then it's trouble ahead, Jesus says, if you think life's all fun and games. That is a definition of our modern culture with social media, with computers, with games. We can have fun with games. There's nothing wrong with that. Fun is fun. And it's part of the human need. But if that's all life is, then Jesus says there's suffering to be met, and you're going to meet it. Well, I think we can prepare now for when there's times of suffering to be met. We can prepare now by being transformed into love, by forming community of kin that have nothing to do with blood or having grown up together as friends, but kin in the spirit, kin because we need one another, kin because we're honest about our needs. Jesus has remarkable wisdom in these blessings and these woes. You're blessed when the tears flow freely. Joy comes with the morning. When have you felt despair? Have you ever? I think every human being has felt despair at one time or another. We may use substances or busyness or games to avoid the reality, but getting in touch with it might be helpful. Joy comes with the morning. So, are we being freed from the slavery of smug self-satisfaction? Are we moving into the freedom of being transformed by love? Are we being freed by love itself? Are we making a difference in this world by expressing love to one another and to outsiders, especially to those we don't know well? Are we joyful so that others are attracted to the joy and love in our lives? The church right now seems irrelevant, like it is of no importance to the world because it isn't characterized by joy and love. That's an invitation. So may we find the blessings and woes in our lives. Amen.